You want to know when fandom is fun? It's fun when your team is just beating up on people. When your team is owning the opponent from a defensive standpoint, bullying them, knocking them backward. It's fun whenever the offense is scoring enough points that every player becomes something of a character, becomes super crazy popular. And every Sunday at 1:02 p.m. when you watch that football fly, you know you're in for a front to finish good time. Well, guess what? This ain't that. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also happen to offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates that I hope you'll also check out. The bye week afforded me the opportunity to chill for once. I never, ever get to do this because I'm running around wherever the Steelers are or flying around or whatever the case might be. You have to get to the stadium several hours early. You leave the stadium several hours late. You don't see any actual football. Well, I plopped myself down on the sofa yesterday as if it was my duty. And I red zoned it all day. Never did this before. Never put on an actual game. I just red zoned it. And if you've never done this, it comes highly recommended. You can't take your eyes off it. It's relentless action. Somebody's always in a position to be doing something great, or they just did something great, and you don't miss anything. Now I'm going to sound like an ad for them. This was a blast. That was one thing that I learned. Another thing that I learned is this. The general scope of these teams that I watched yesterday, and by that I mean the better teams and the AFC teams more appropriately, aren't performing on some other level than your favorite team. I know, that's been the common line. When you're watching some other game, you say, oh, these teams they're playing in some other league compared to the Steelers, the way they move the football or the way they fill in the blank here or fill in the blank there. That's just not the case. Never mind the Steelers spot in the standings, 6-2 and all that other stuff. I'm just talking about a general feel. I think they can compete with anybody. That doesn't mean that they're better. It doesn't mean they're just as good. It means that they can compete with anybody. But also, and relevant, and honestly, this might have made the biggest impression of all on me yesterday. I don't know that anybody anywhere stands out. We talk a lot about the Mike Tomlin teams playing down to the opponent, or how can that happen? What an unconscionable thing that is, that they're leaving so-and-so to hang around into the fourth quarter. And I'm watching the Eagles with a 20-plus point lead on the Jaguars in Philadelphia, appearing to be in complete command of an opponent that's going nowhere. And the next thing you know, the Jaguars just start pecking away. And the Philly fans they're born booing. They actually fall out of the womb booing. They boo the delivering doctor. They're letting everybody have it. And, the Eagles eventually get their act together and they fend off the Jaguars. But this was happening everywhere. And with this red zone, again, you're seeing every comeback, everything. And teams that are allegedly bad are hanging right there with teams that are known to be good. And probably other than the Browns and whatever it is that's become of the Saints since winning their first two, you didn't really have a team there that was just getting, just wiped away. Although I guess you could say that for what the Ravens did to the Broncos, but the Broncos, how they have 5 wins, I have no idea. Point is this. The whole anybody can win on any Sunday. It's not just about upsets. I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's something that you can dismiss by saying, well, it's a parity league and that's just how it goes. I think it's a parity league because there aren't teams that are just screaming out at you. There aren't, powerhouses. The Steelers' next opponent this Sunday in Landover is the Commanders. And the Commanders are 7-2 now after winning their own game yesterday. And they don't floor anybody. The Bills don't do that. I don't even think the undefeated Chiefs do that. Plus 50 points differential is not remotely impressive. They're winning, that is. But these don't feel like your usual Chiefs, although I understand that they tend to become that in January, more often than not. It's not a great NFL right now. There's not the way there used to be forever, and most unfortunately, because the Steelers had those great offensive teams a decade ago. And it's still staggering that, Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and that spectacular offensive line led by Marquise Pouncey and all these guys, that they couldn't win a Super Bowl with that group. But the real reason that they couldn't win a Super Bowl was that, the Patriots existed. The Tom Brady Patriots existed. They were just the border crossing that nobody could get through, or very few teams obviously could get through. That's not in play. That's not in play. This is going to be tough. This isn't going to be fun. And I don't mean to suggest otherwise. The Steelers aren't really built to run up the score on too many teams. They're going to be about time of possession. They're going to be about wearing you down. They're going to be about what Naji Harris likes to call the 15-round fight. And as long as that formula results in A, winning, and B, getting better, that's fine. It's not fun, but it's fine. And in this picture, and looking at all 32 of these teams, and the ones that'll make the playoffs, and the ones that look like they're real contenders, that might be fine enough. When we come back, J1Q. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxenberg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454. Today's J1Q comes from Alan, who says, DK, I'm wondering if Naji Harris is maybe playing for a contract. Or if he isn't doing that, then why didn't the Steelers get this version of him all along? Do we only now play this well whenever we want to get paid? I don't buy it, Alan. I don't really buy any of it. The main reason is that I've never seen this individual lack motivation. I know there's a massive difference between lacking motivation and being tentative at the line of scrimmage, which might be the only context in which anybody could look at Naji's NFL career to date and think that he lacks some kind of intangible. And I'm not going to dismiss that because we all saw what happened in Indianapolis. We saw how hesitant he was. We saw how left-right he was. We saw him getting thrown down behind the line of scrimmage as a result. And then we saw Cordarrelle Patterson come in and say, hey, this is easy, man, and just run right through all the Colts for big gains. At which point all of us, and I'm no exception to this, go, play the other guy. So what ends up happening is the Steelers, first and foremost, do some adjusting, and they have, schematically, from the offensive line standpoint more than anything, to better set the stage for Naji. They then allow him to work his reads off the opposing inside linebackers. And that, by the way, has been the source of his biggest runs, most of them anyway, over these past 3 weeks. He tries to sense which way they're going, who might pick up whom, get through the middle of the line, and then go left to right. And from there, he's built up some confidence. He's built up, how did Dan Moore put this to me the other day? Dan said that he's just he's more assured of himself and his ability to get significant gains. And that is something that we, again, this is still more, we as a line feed off of. So the whole thing just ends up snowballing. There's just a mutual understanding between Naji and the line. If you block for me this way, I will hit that hole. I will make it worth your while to execute that block. Instead of, dude, I'm holding the block. How much longer do you want me to hold this, Mr. Bell? Because it's getting kind of dark out here. Well, that in turn has worked in tandem with Russell Wilson coming in, using a lot of different wide receiver targets, spreading the ball not just to different people, but also to different parts of the field that prevents teams, not entirely, they still do this, but prevents them from at least stacking, 12 or 13 guys in the box, which opens up everything, which opens up play action and all kinds of other goodies. So not everything has to be about a narrative or whatever. I don't think Naji's running harder because he wants to get paid. Because if he was, and now I'm finally addressing your question, if he was, why wouldn't he have done that at the start of the season? Do you see what I'm saying? I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. I'd also invite you to hang around for my double shot of Steelers show. That comes up at 4 p.m. It's available in all forms, including video. And that thing's starting to be a little bit fun too, A little different than this show. Not too much, but a little bit, and just enough to have thrown me off for a while there. I'm feeling good about it, though. It's kind of like, Naji Harris.